if I enter a room and I don't feel right, I leave. If enter in the world and I feel like the spirit is off, I leave. It might have the right name on the wall. It might have all the things right.
Welcome to Coach Soul, the podcast where we explore therapeutic ways to the best versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Steve Hudgins. I'm a licensed professional counselor dedicated to helping you navigate life's challenges. In each uplifting episode, we'll discuss mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Join me and with my co-host, Kenya Evelyn, a therapeutic life coach, where sometimes we'll even welcome special guests to our show that share their experience and expertise. So let's embark on this transformative path together and discover a healthier and happier you. Hey, welcome back to Coach Soul. Kenya, the summer has just flown by and school starts. Some for this week, some for next week, midweek, and I can't, growing up, I didn't want to go so fast. Now that I'm at this age, please slow the merry-go-round down.
I never liked school. I resisted. We're here to be honest, right? No masks. We don't do masks. So no, sure, no, sir, no, sir. And I have 3 kids, which I call them kids because they're mine, but they're giants. They're 6 foot, 16, 14, and an 11-year-old girl. And I'm in the business of leading with leadership, right? And what I notice is I've always loved to learn. That's what I tell them. The academics felt like imposed learning. You have to learn this. And this is the right way to learn. This is the right way that you hold a pen. This is the right way. And I was so pleased. My mother was a exceptional academic. She was the director. She was the teacher. She had 3 jobs, and all her 3 jobs was in school related. And I want to say that to our dear listeners, because if you had a parent academic, or if you don't have a parent academic, there is this invitation to, you just got to do what you got to do. You just got to show up and be happy. And that's just what life throws at you. And I know that that's the direction we want to go in this podcast. Is not as much as, hey, tell me your GPA, but how are you in this earth school, if you will?
For some people, they call it University of Hard Knocks. I remember reading a book that was labeled University of Hard Knocks. And, we don't hear that phrase too often. And it's like, we're in a university. It is a life learning, as long as you have breath in you and your mind works. Sometimes I wonder, if the mind doesn't work, do we still learn? It's just, where's common sense? What happens to us when university knocks and it's like, what do you do with trouble sometimes? The book, The Family Mask, just came out last month. And I talk about oftentimes how we grow up. I remember being the peacemaker in my family because of the conflict. And that led into the attachment style of a people pleaser. I don't want to. And so that's how university teaches you. What to don on for a mask, what to don on as something else. And university of this type, do you ever graduate?
Of course not. No, you graduate from this realm when you close your eyes, right? And if you're still breathing, even if you came back from a coma, you're not ready. There's things to learn, and there's things to teach. As a coach, I've learned very, very early in my career, if you will, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you teach the path you've been. The most authentic coach, I have been through this. I am qualified to hold your hand. If I am 2 steps ahead or 2,000 steps ahead, and also, who am I to say that I'm ahead? You know what I'm saying? There's no judgment, but there is perspective. And this is why professionals like you and me come along and offer perspective, a loving perspective, a grounding perspective, because we're all students. There's no hierarchy. I'm a student and a teacher. I'm a masterpiece, says the word, and by golly, I'm a work in progress. We are all of it.
We are.
Everything. And some days regression, right? And we feel like, gosh, is there all there is? This feels so, I can't see it. It feels so dark. It feels, nobody cares. There's a lot of regression. Now your younger self takes over and you can see the patterns. In those days, I was about to say young listeners. I'm a homeschool mom, y'all, and I will teach this year to young listeners, but not you. You are a peer-to-peer adult listener. If you are in a dark moment, I'm not even call it era, because in Jesus' name, I don't want this to be your era, but it is a moment. What I have noticed, Steve, 10 times out of 10, your darkest time is where the gifts of awareness shows up.
I wonder if that is our exams. You like, I went to college and you take psychology, and, I was immature when I started getting my bachelor's degree. I was probably 18, 19 years of age, the first time being away from my parents. Thank God I escaped. I just, at that moment, you want to escape from that reality. And so it's like, wow, it hit me in the face. My first grade was a D. And I'm like, really? But then you fast forward to my doctorates and I get an A. And so maturity also comes through the University of Hard Knocks. No one enrolls us in the university. Life enrolls us. And when you think about it, the tuition is pain. And the classrooms, it may be psychology, but the classrooms of the university is loss, failure, grief, disappointment, adversity. And yet...
And usually within the family. Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Oh, that's is there a class of family?
100%, right? I tell this to my boys all the time. We are here to learn from each other. She's the perfect sister for you. He's the perfect brother for you to learn. To trigger shows where you're not free. Trigger shows where you're still having attachment or judgment where things really needed to be. This shouldn't be this way. Then you get triggered. She answered me wrong. I am not landing as a mother. You know what I'm saying? There's this reflection where I felt like, oh, wow, that was small of me, Kenya. Because in that moment, I passed judgment over my motherhood. Is it landing? Is it not? Just because of a reaction. And I'm being completely candid because that's just how we do this podcast. We're very much in school together, y'all. Ups and downs. And the consistent choice to move forward, to live in the present moment, to not repeat the same lessons.
And that's why the family mass talks about some of the stuff that we tend to learn, and we tend to perform to what we've been taught to, and when do we stop and learn ways that we can become authentic? And when I think about that, oftentimes universities have sorority groups. And if we were to take that and fit in the spirit of University of Hard Knocks, maybe sorority groups can be social events, traditions, maybe. But what I think is often missed is deeper lessons learned through friendship, rejection, belonging, conflict, personal growth. And it's not about where you learned the life lessons. It's about those lessons that taught you. And so when you think about the experiences of every bit as valuable as a lesson learned in a lecture hall, it's what do you do with the lessons that's learned? Kenya, we're both faith-based. And one of the things that's been challenging for me recently, you get challenged. We all get challenged. We never stop getting challenged unless you just give up on life. But the hardship and I don't like airing out church laundry. But at the same time, I'm hoping that those who are learning about faith and congregations and worship and things of that nature, I get the reasons why people leave churches because of the pain and the hurt and the Bible bullets and things of that nature. But one of the struggles that I have recently found is I brought up to a church that I used to go to that 125 decibel of music is harmful. I provided information to the team and I said, we're hurting people. through the music. It's harmful because our bodies can't, because it raises cortisol levels. It causes cardiovascular stuff. It hurts pregnant women. And you know what I was told? We do it because we attract the younger generation. And the immediate thought that I came to is Matthew, where it talks about if there's a grievance that a person has, you leave your stuff at the altar and you go and find out what that grievance is to work it out. I sent emails. I tried to convey to them, but crickets. How is it that when we take conflict, such as University of Hard Knocks, whether it be in a spiritual life, because to me, that's my foundation, that's your foundation, anybody's foundation has faith that believes in God, about how to not be shaken by such things as, and like I explained to the leadership, how is this glorifying God? And you allow a person to walk away unheard, unreached, and yet you say music is to attract, to grow the congregation? I don't understand the reason when, God has called us to reconciliation, not just in faith-based stuff, but in our families. Where's reconciliation? Where's the class? Have we forgotten the class of reconciliation?
What comes to mind when you say that story, which I know it's not just a story, something you lived and it's still visceral to you because it's not resolved, is the one perspective that the one chooses to be right about. I'm right about because he attracts the right the younger generations. In other perspective, I would ask, does that mean that the non-young generation doesn't matter? Doesn't mean, because as far as I'm concerned, who supports the church is the adult and the elder. That's who actually supports the missions. And I'm talking logically, which tells me that there's so much more than just the younger generation. There's ego, there's show. Like, I live in Nashville. Do we really want to talk about that?
Hey, you're a musician. You came from a family.
%. So here's the thing. If you're going to a church, this is my perspective. I'm not imposing my perspective. But if you're going to a church, what it looks like a show, it is a show.
Entertainment.
And you should and you should pay ticket for it. And you say, hey, we're going to pay tickets because we're going to put up a beautiful show. It's going to have lights. It's going to be sounds. It's going to be great. And you come in, and then you come in with earmuffs if you want to be here and you not want to, just like you would go to a concert because it's going to be a show.
But Kenya, that's what I was told. To me, when I see earplugs, it tells me we are here to hurt you. And if you want to protect yourself, put hearing. But when you think about, and I apologize to our listeners that are non-faith based, the thing about earplugs is the fact it says to sing. How can I hear your voice, Kenya, next to me when the music is so loud and to put earplugs in, it drowns you out. And I'm not being edified or encouraged. That's what church is about. That is part of the University of Hard Knocks. When life gets tough, a church should be sanctioned, a sanctuary where a group of believers come together to uplift, to walk us through. That's our sorority group, so to speak, that helps us.
Do I have permission to tell you what's coming to my heart, Steve? And I know we're like in public. If you are a religious-based person, a faith-based person or not, it doesn't matter. You are a person. And what I see here is a dance between ego and telling the truth. It's just ego and telling the truth. And you also have an idea. You just share it with me and with the public, with our listeners. What is your idea of church? And I tend to agree with your idea of church because that's biblical. That's what the scripture says. And this is why I personally left church and went to a home church, because I wanted the connection and I wanted the eye to eye. I want the conversations. I want the deep dive in the word. I wanted that. So that is my invitation to you. This is why I ask permission. If it's not matching, then if you stay there, you get to be in agreement because they're not going to change, or you leave. Those are your two options because they're not going to change. They have an agenda to grow up, grow bigger. And you can tell me it's God, but it's ego. It's very simple. You see it. I'm an artist. I'm a singer. happen to be really good. I cannot tell you how many times I auditioned to church and I didn't get picked. Don't tell me that it's not because of my musicianship. It might not fit the whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was rigged. Maybe he wanted to. I don't know. But the point
Kenya,
is, did we fell out of actually the heart of worship? And I tend to be very close to that conversation because my father-in-law is an amazing man, and I respect and I love him. And he has thousands of students all around the world. You might even be one of them if you're listening. Dr. Vernon Whaley, he's my father-in-law, and he created this center of worship in Liberty University. It was his vision.
yes.
He broke with Dr. Farwell. Like, that was his vision. And he became the dean of music there. And he just travels around the globe, around the world, teaching worshipers to worship based on the heart of worship, which is connection,
Right.
which is listening, which is writing. We're writing with AI, that's fine. But where is the heart of writing it from the Holy Spirit, not from AI rhyme? Like, where are we going, people?
When you think about, but you also know frequency. And when 100%. The frequency is too high, because anything above 85 to 90 decibels is harmful to the body because the frequency is too high.
So instead of being here to recalibrate my nervous system, I feel like there's a tiger chasing me. My nervous system. There is no
right.
There is no tears of connection. There is no, because, and you're actually talking the decimal frequency. I know frequency from a frequency level, which tells me many times, and I do this not into church, in the School of Hard Knocks, the University of Hard Knocks that we're talking about. If I enter a room and I don't feel right, I leave. If I enter in the world and I feel like the spirit is off, I leave. It might have the right name on the wall. It might have all the things right. So I want to invite the people that is listening to this that has church hurt, that has church trauma. I want to invite not just to bond. I can do an entire spiel on church trauma, but I would like to believe, I know, I'm not going to say, let me think before I say. I have done a lot of work dissolving and letting go of church trauma. It actually led me closer to God and closer to the nuances of discernment that I just shared with our listeners. Know where you're at. Don't fight. We're not here to fight. Oh, but Jesus turned tables on. That's okay. You can go to the person like you went, Steve, and you gave your 2 cents with proof. Like, this is science. What are we doing in church? And if you're not heard, now you have an invitation. You stay there because of whatever, family, friends, it's cool, whatever. Or you leave. There's plenty of other places to go. That's it.
It's, and Kenya and I are not here trying to air out. We want to educate. That's part of the university. To educate that we too, as human beings, still go through some tragedy stuff.
And it will go forever.
And the thing too is, Kenya, when I'm a doctor, I study this stuff. And when I say that this research shows how it damages the body and they become dismissive of it, like you said, ego, because they want to do something different than what the biblical purpose is of connection, is highly concerning to me. And to me, it questions me, are they a church? And especially if you give emails or things like that to the senior pastor, the assistant, the worship, and it's crickets in return, is highly concerning, and it makes me wonder. And so let's turn the table here, because we got about 5 to 7 minutes left here, because I don't want this to be a grievance. I want to be able to inspire people that God is not a God of chaos. And this should not deter you from coming to Him and having a relationship with Him. I know some people left churches because of this. I put a Facebook post about the decibel and what people thought. The majority thought that they don't like it. They don't like the loud ones. But let's go to a sensitivity room, or how are we segregating the church within the church? when we're called to be as one body, one mind, one spirit. And so when you think about, okay, here we go. What do we do for this example? We got a university knock. How do we pass this course of being able to look at, we don't feel seen, heard, being dismissed by the very thing that should call us to God?
Well, I would like to point out, with your permission, the things you did right. You used your voice. And I say that for our listeners too. When you encounter in this life with opportunities to, do I say something, but you know it's not right? Your frequency picked up, your discernment picked up. Bravo for having the courage to speak up and keeping reaching out. And what I hear you saying is not that you are right about it, is a perspective, right? So dear listeners, in given the opportunity, speak up. Speak up with detachment. Speak up because you're human. You know that your voice matters, that your opinion comes from a place of love, not manipulation, not control, your place of care. Continue to speak up. If we stop speaking up, what are we doing now? Just texting and bro. I mean, come on. So that's number one thing. Speak up. Number two, have detachment on, is it going to land? It's not going to land. Like, I don't know. But you speak up from a place of love. You live in the table. And now you have a decision. For all people that still hurt, I want to acknowledge you. Leaving church is not leaving God. I'll say that again. Leaving church is not leaving God. That will be another place for you to gather. And if there's not, there's your living room where 2 and 3 are, I'll be there. Is that an attachment now to a beautiful building for you to do pictures and a microphone so we can sing? Is that what we're doing now?
But Kenya, I want to take that one step further.
Please do.
Because the enemy is attacking. Because we know the end is coming soon. And the enemy is attacking. And one thing I left out is once I brought this up to the attention, the worship leader called me. And it was more of a push of agenda. And when I said, I'm not being heard, I can't continue this conversation, he continued, and I had to hang up. I hated to do that, but I empowered the deal of, I didn't want my blood pressure to get up. I didn't want my anxiety to go. And then immediately after this conversation, he's up on Sunday preaching about we're not supposed to grumble. We're not supposed to complain, that his music is the way it is designed to be. And I'm thinking, wow. So again, it's not about a gripe session here. I want to talk about the University of Hard Knocks, that sometimes things that we get attacked in, whether it's politics, whether it's faith-based, whether it's family or education or work, we're just giving you an example of here's something that is so close to our heart, Kenya and I's heart, about faith, about what ways can we graduate from. And when you're saying speaking up, it's people are so afraid of speaking up because of the conflict or the ridicule. But it takes warriors of soldiers to stand up for the truth. And as scripture says, if they don't want to listen, you shake the sand off your sandals and you go elsewhere. And you find a group. And I think that's where we get stuck in toxicity, because we think, well, wait a minute, I've been here for 25 years. I don't want to leave. Even though it hurts me, I don't want to leave. And so we tend to be complacent instead of passing the course.
I think we need to go and call it what it is. The sense of belonging. It's no longer right or being wrong. It's like, this is where my friends are. This is where my tribe is. My kids play with their kids. And there's so much there than just worship. There's community. There's history. And I honor all that. When I walked away from everything, and it hurt. And I felt alone in the world because I had so much attachment to the label of the denomination and what have made me. And I knew that it was changing my life forever. And I'm really glad I had the courage to walk away and to find my relationship with God and to find the depth of, here I am, show me where to serve. Show me, where do you want me to go? And I want to encourage our listeners to know that God is always listening, that humans, especially a lot of pastors that I have noticed in my life, not all of them, by golly, not all of them, but they're just bad marketers for Jesus. They really are. They talk about it, but they don't live. And it's okay because they're also humans. He or she, they're humans. So in this school of hard knocks, in this university of hard knocks, I like to call it Earth School, but that's the same thing. We are invited to see each other as mirrors. So the mirror here is, okay, so you see something. Are you going to impose your something? Or sometimes when God gives you a vision, he gives it to you for you to do something about it. And we want to make sure that other people see what we see. And how much do we do that? I can apply what I just said in every area of my life, of my marriage. This is what I see. How come you don't see that way? My parenting, school's getting started. You got to apply yourself. You got to, learn, because of the future. Is like, I actually lost my leverage with my children to talk about school because I don't even know if university exists with the time they graduate. But what I do know is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And you get to be a good student because you're a good person. You're a great person. So show up for your life. Show up for your life. This is your one life opportunity. Live it out loud. Live as if you're guided. Live as if you're loved. Live as if you care. Live as if you're making great choices because you love yourself, not because mom's going to be upset or because, my husband, no. You do it because you care so much about who you are and your integrity.
Well, and that's what we call a boundary, right? And so as we close, I want to leave our listeners to this. A wounded church may shake your trust in people, but it does not have to shake your trust in God. So when I think about all of this, the question is not, did the church hurt me? To graduate from this class the question is, will I allow that hurt to become greater than my faith? So thank you for your time today. We're going to do a part 2 because this is just a small, minute place. But for us, it's a foundation to the university or Earth School. And so until next time, take care and God bless.
So much love.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on Coach Soul. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners of a few key points. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is based on professional opinion but may not apply to everyone's situation. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your mental health care. If you're in a crisis, please seek immediate professional help or contact a crisis hotline. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship or personal advice. Please consult with your licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, your mental health journey is unique. While we hope this information is helpful, it is crucial to work directly with the qualified personnel for your specific needs. Thank you again for tuning in to Coach Soul, and we'll see you next time.